Hello everyone and welcome to Anything Geek. My name is Zero and today I would like to start a little bit of a series of video where I want to talk about the One Piece card game meta and how you can express yourself in this. Those of you who follow the game knows that OPO3 came out just a couple of weeks ago with the pre-release and then the official release of the set. And that means that the current meta has been refreshed with all those new cards and also the addition of yellow in the color that you can now play. And as I've talked about it before, there is a ton of way that you can deck build any deck that you want to play, but some advice stays the same regardless of the current state of the meta. Which is why I think it's a good idea to start a little series of video that I will personally call Express Your Meta. The goal of this video is just simply to get you through my way of deck building a deck when the meta comes and see how that deck performs. You know, kind of expressing yourself as a player, see how you want to play the deck that you want to play, and see how you can change the structure of a deck based on your own preference as a player. This obviously goes in opposition to any person who wants to build a deck that is really meta and that is going to be top tier in every tournament. But the problem with those decks is they're already built. I don't need to research anything on those. I don't need to try to express myself as a player. And those are simply top tier deck that just performs well. Which is Whitebeard, to be honest. Whitebeard and Zoro. And that is going to be another series that I'm going to talk about on this channel, but this is not what we're doing right now. Right now, we're going to try and build a deck for the current meta using one of the new leaders and see how we can express our way of enjoying the game and playing the game, and all that with all the restrictions that apply. So I'm not going to use any websites to build the deck like I did last time. I used Nakama decks. This is not what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick only the physical cards that I own in my collection. Otherwise, it's not gonna be real. I mean, I could go and buy the cards that are missing. Yeah, sure, I can get an ideal situation, but you're not gonna always have that luxury. So I just want to build a deck to play, to express myself as a player with the cards that I currently have in my collection. Let's do this. So to start off here with this exercise, I just put out the starter deck cards, which is the Big Mom starter deck, and all the OPO3 cards in yellow that I had. Just pause for a second. Ain't gonna work if you forget your leader, man. Totally forgot my leader there for a second. So today we're gonna build a Katakuri deck. I really want to play this leader, so if you remember my last video I did about deck building, this is kind of where I start theory crafting everything that I'm gonna do. So my leader is yellow, so we're building yellow. That's kind of good for us right now because there's not that many yellow cards. So we have a leader, and remember the advice that I provided last time are still holding true for the most part. So things I want to keep an eye out for are 2k counters, blockers. With this leader specifically, I'm already taking this into account. Maybe trigger cards that might be useful with his effect. And of course, a win condition, which I'm told right now in the meta, if I'm taking this into a bit of account for building my deck, is gonna be probably the 10 cost Charlotte Lin from OPO3. But I don't have 4 copies of those, so I'm gonna have to play around with that. I'm gonna start by skimming through all the ST cards and OPO3 cards, and I'm just gonna build up a list of what I already think is a good base to start on. That's the first step.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
There we go. Starter deck is skimmed, and these are the cards that I feel can add value to my deck. Now I'm gonna go through all the OPO3 cards. See you in a second.
Many minutes later.
Here are all the OPO3 cards that I have considered for my deck. Like I said, some of them are not 4-ofs, so I don't have like full play sets of all of those. Charlotte Linen, for instance, I only have 2. So I'm gonna have to fiddle with the ratio and see about that. But the first thing I want to do is already try to see if I can get out a theme of this and see about the win condition. Of course, here I know it's kind of hard to see on the screen, but we have Charlotte Katakuri here and Charlotte Lin over there. Those are probably gonna be considered sort of the win condition. So I'm gonna see if I can play around with their effects and see if I can take advantage of this. And I'm gonna look first at the events and see how those events can help their effects be more efficient. So taking those two specific SRs to the front and looking at their effect, if you want to see the cards here, I was lucky enough to pull an alternate art category, so very sick. First, I'm gonna look at Lin Lin because I have the Prometheus and Zeus that are kind of playing with the Lin Lins. But let's look at her effect on play. If my leader has the Big Bomb Pirate, which it does, add up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life cards. Then trash up to one card from the top of your opponent's life card. Obviously very strong. We are definitely gonna play this in the deck, and I feel confident saying that I'm gonna play the 2 copies that I have, which actually you might not need a full play set for this, because since it is the win condition, you need to find it, but you don't need like that many copies. And I'm gonna look at Zeus and Prometheus. So their 3 cost 3,000, counter 1,000 only. That's pretty low. You may rest this character up to one of your Charlotte Lin Lin gains banish, and the other one is gain double attack. I mean, kinda yes, but also kinda no. We need blockers and we need counters, so we might not run those specifically. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's look at Katakuri first. On play, add up to one character with a cost of 8 or less to the top of or bottom of the owner's life cards face up. So the way you can play this, there's 2 ways. You can either play this offensively or defensively. If you play this offensively, you're going to be bouncing cards from your opponent's field back to their life. Now, you know those cards are going to add up to their lives, but you're going to know what they are. If this is a blocker or a heavy hitter that your opponent has on the field, you can pretty much ruin their game plan for at least one turn and by yourself sometimes. That's valuable. And if you play this defensively, you can bounce potentially one of your own cards to your life and maybe get a trigger. And as far as trigger goes, if I'm looking at all the cards that I've selected, there's a few of them, but already with the value that we can have, we can play a bit with the trigger, I think. So Katakuri, obviously, that's going to be a go, and I'm going to put the 3 that I have, or maybe bump this to 2, I don't know yet. Let's look at event cards. For the starter deck event cards that we've picked, we've only picked Power Mochi, and good counter and has the same effects as your leader, which allows you to look at either yours or your opponent's top or bottom of the life cards and kind of arrange this. That's a strong event that you might consider. Then we have Ikoku Sovereignty. Why do I only have 3 of those? Yeah, hold on a second. I'm gonna check real quick if this is correct that I only have 3. Pillar of Strength. Okay, Ikoku Sovereignty. I thought I had a playset. I'm just using my own personal app, by the way, the OPCG Collection Manager, link in the description. You'll find it on the Android Play Store. It's an Android-only app. Sorry for those Apple users. It helped me keep track of my collection, as you saw. Very handy, very nice. So, 3 Ikoku Sovereignty. We have counter up to one of your leader or character gain plus 5,000 power during this battle. That's bonkers. And there's a trigger. You may trash 2 cards from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So you can regain life, you can have a huge boost of power only for 2 costs. That's very good. I think we're gonna play this, but let's look at the other one. Thunderbolt. You may trash 1 card from the top of your life cards, KO up to one of your opponent's character with a cost of 5 or less, and has a trigger KO up to one of your opponent's character with a cost of 5 or less. So you do not trash the cards to KO the opponent's board. This is a main effect, so that's to play during your turn, and you KO 5 cost. That's very valuable. I'm already more inclined to include Thunderbolt in the deck instead of Power Mochi. I'll see about that. We have only 2 events to go through. Tropical Torment main, if your opponent has 4 or more life cards, trash up to 1 card from the top of your opponent's life cards and trigger activate this card's main effect. It's only a 3 cost, so for 3 costs you can trash your opponent's life card, and if this comes from the trigger, it gets there for free. Now, what are the odds that your opponent will be at 4 or more life cards? If his Whitebeard is gonna get down very easily in life, so you might not need this at all, and we know Whitebeard is kind of top meta right now, so I don't really think I'm gonna include this. Buzzcut Mochi, if you have less life card than your opponent, KO up to one of your opponent character with a cost of 4 or less for 2 costs. So we have another 2 costs like Thunderbolt that can kill the board, but here it's a bit more free than Thunderbolt, because Thunderbolt you have to trash a card from the top of your life, where this you just play it. The trigger is also a bit different. Trigger, play up to 1 character card with a cost of 4 or less and a trigger from your hand. What would be a target for this? We have Brûlé, Cracker, 4 costs, and a trigger, so I can play potentially Cracker for free with this. Smoothie is also 4 costs. What do we have here? We have Zeus and Prometheus that can be played for free from my hand, and that's about it. So I think the KO is already like interesting to have in my deck, so I'm gonna include Buzzcut Mochi. I only have 2 copies, so I'm gonna have to make do with that. I'm gonna set a limit for event cards like I do like for pretty much all my decks. Not more than around 12 to 15 cards. So we have 2 here. Ikoku Sovereignty we're gonna take. So that's 5 cards. 9. So we have decided the event. I'm gonna pick 2 Buzzcut Mochi, 3 Ikoku Sovereignty, the 4 Thunderbolts, and I'm gonna pick 3 Power Mochi. This ratio, as time goes on, I'm gonna fiddle a bit with, because I'm not sure how they're gonna be like super relevant in the deck as they are played, so this will need to be adjusted. But that's already 12 cards that we have, and those are the events. And now I'm gonna look at all the other cards that I have, and I'm gonna instantly pick whatever blocker possibilities I have. So Brûlé is a must-have, and that's kind of one of the only blockers that we have. That is with the addition of Shirley. Also has an effect on play, look at up to 1 card from the top of your or your opponent's life card and place it at the top or bottom of the life cards, kind of the same as your leader's effect. We're gonna play this because obviously we need blockers, and it's a 3 cost, so it's gonna be a bit more expensive, but we have this prescience effect. And we are also gonna play Charlotte Galette, which is a 2 cost blocker. We are at 24. We need some counters, so putting counter plus 2000 on play, look at up 1 card from the top of your or your opponent's life card and place it at the top or bottom of the life card, so also to manipulate the life, and counter plus 2000. So not very much for her effect, but we also need the counter, and this has a good one. So Strusen, counter 2000, so we need that. On play, you may trash 1 card with trigger from your hand, KO up to 1 of your opponent character with a cost of 1 or less. So if you decide to play this as a regular card, you can potentially get rid of the opponent's blocker, but that's not really why we include it. We include it for the counter. Now we have 8 cards with counter 2000, so defensively this should be like already good, because we also have 12 blockers that we can play around with. The base of the deck is gonna be that. Actually, Sanji also counter 2000, but I only have 2, so his effect done X2. When attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand and add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So it's a draw. Basically, draw 1 card, but you draw it from your life and is counter 2000. So let's do a quick count already, because I'm always forgetful. So right now we have 34 cards in our deck. if I want to play the Charlotte Linlin with Zeus, Prometheus and Napoleon, I'm gonna have to count 8 plus possibly here 12 plus 2, 14 cards, and that means that I'm gonna have 2 slots left in my deck. So I don't think I'm gonna play this. I don't think that this has enough value, especially because the other cards here, Pudding and Cracker, are very interesting. Also Smoothie. We're not gonna play this combo with the Zeus Prometheus Napoleon combo with Linlin. I'm putting those to the side. What do we have? We have also Daifuku here. Done X1. When attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. Add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So that's card cycling and basically a free draw. Doesn't have trigger and doesn't have counter 2000. So okay, I'm gonna split this. Let's look at the bigger card first. Linlin, 2 cards. We need that. Also Katakuri. Can I really build a deck, a Katakuri deck, without having it in my deck? And then from there we have Charlotte Pudding. Look at the 4 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Sanji or Big Mom type card other than Pudding and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any orders. This is your Nami from OPO1. This is your Searcher. We also need this. Let's look at Smoothie. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life card to your hand. This character gains plus 2000 power during this battle. You may trash 1 card from your hand. Play these cards as a trigger. My take on this is, if you want a more stable game overall, draw and cycle your hands, go with Daifuku, because they're basically the same. 4 costs 5000, counter 1000, but Daifuku costs you 1 done and his effect is when attacking. Charlotte Smoothie, her effect is free, but you straight up lose a life, but you gain plus 2000. So I'm gonna split them in the middle and I will see which one gets my preference as I use the deck and play around with it. Charlotte Cracker, we have the next one. If you have less life card than your opponent, he gains double attack and plus 1000 power, and also has a trigger. You may trash 1 card from your hand and play this card. And I feel like we're gonna play this one, but we are already over the limit by 1 card, so I'm gonna have to take 1 card out of the deck. So I'm gonna look at the ratio that I've used, maybe adjust a bit. I'm gonna do that and I'll see you in a bit.
1 hour later.
Okay, I rally up all my cards and I've made some tweaks and I ended up with 47 cards, so I decided to add back 3 other cards that I have previously discarded. And here is the final version for now of this deck. Here's what I settled for. Here is what I am going to play and fiddle around with. Starting with the events, we have Buzzcut Mochi. Main, if you have less life card than your opponent's, KO up to 1 of your opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less, so bold removal. Very, very strong because it targets pretty much all the blockers and the mid-range bodies that your opponents may have on the field. Also has a trigger. You can play a character with a cost of 4 or less and has a trigger from your hand, which targets some very interesting cards in the rest of the deck. Next is going to be Ikoku Sovereignty. We have 3 copies of this. Counter up to 1 of your leader or character cards, gain plus 5k power during this battle. Also has a trigger. You can trash 2 cards from your hand, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So you can regain some life with this, as well as defend. And the last event we are going to run is going to be Thunderbolts, 4 copies, 2 cost. Main effect, you may trash 1 card from the top of your life cards. KO up to 1 of your opponent's character with a cost of 5 or less. So again, bold removal. We want no defense for our opponents. And it also has a trigger, KO up to 1 of your opponent's character with a cost of 5 or less. So you get to play this effect for free if you get it as a trigger from your life. Those are the events that we are going to run. And next in our list are gonna be the character cards. So we're gonna start off with 2 costs, 3k, counter plus 2000, and an effect But we're not really playing this for this effect, because on play, look at up to one card from the top of your or your opponent's life card and place it at the top or bottom of the life card. So that's basically the same effect as Katakuri, the leader. We're not really playing this for the effect. We want the counter, we want the defensive ability, so that's why we have this. Same goes pretty much for Strusen. So one cost, 1000 power, counter 2000. On play, you may trash one card with trigger from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's character with a cost of 1 or less. So that's blocker removal or counter, depending on how you play this. But it's mainly here for the counter, because we want the extra defense coming from there. The next is gonna be 2 cost, 3k, counter 2000. Down next to, when attacking, you may add one card from the top or bottom of your life card to your hand. Add up to one card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So you are basically taking a life in your hand, so you have more cards. It's a draw one, but with all the others effect in play, you will be sure to know what you are drawing. Also has 2k counter, so very good. The next card is gonna be Charlotte Pudding. One cost, 2000 power, counter 1000. On play, look at the 4 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card. That's either Sanji or Big Mom type. That card has to be other than Charlotte Pudding. Add that card to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I said it before, this is Nami from OPO1. This is just that. This is your free searcher in the deck. Then a card that I fiddled with the ratio was Charlotte Daifuku. 4 cost, 5000, counter 1000. The next one, when attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life card to your hand and add 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. So that's draw 1 again, to get more possibilities in hand, more cards, and always make sure that you have something in hand to defend. Next card I was fiddling with the ratio was Charlotte Smoothie. I decided to add 4 because it's a very offensive card and also has a trigger which is valuable for all the others effect. So Charlotte Smoothie, 4 cost, 5000 power, counter 1000. When attacking, you may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life card to your hand. Again, draw 1. This character gains plus 2000 during this battle. You can be more aggressive and more offensive. I at some point considered Charlotte Opera because it's a 4 cost 6000, but he has no effect, no counter, no trigger. He's a good body to have on the field, but I decided to go with Charlotte Smoothie, and I might tweak this a bit in the long run. We'll see about that. Next card is going to be Charlotte Brûlée. 3 costs, 1000 power, counter 1000, blocker, and trigger. Play this card. So this comes in your life. You can play this for free. And remember, with all the things that we have, we're going to be adding to the life and all that stuff. We're going to be pre-sciencing the life. So we're going to know pretty much every time what we're going to pull from that at that spot. So we can plan this ahead and maybe get blockers for free on the field. Next card is going to be Shirley. 3 cost, 3000, counter 1000, blocker. On play, look at up to 1 card from the top of your or your opponent's life card and place it at the top or bottom of the life card. So again, it's kind of the same effect. Plan ahead, make sure you have trigger all the time. Next card is gonna be Charlotte Galette. 2 cost, 2000 power, counter 1000, blocker. That's just it, that's a blocker. Then we have Charlotte Cracker. 4 costs, 5000 power, counter 1000. The next one, if you have less life cards than your opponent, this character gains double attack and 1000 power. Very good attacker, very nice effect. Double attack, I mean, and also as a trigger, you may trash 1 card from your hand, play this card. And the last bulk of the card is gonna be Charlotte Katakuri. 8 cost, 8000 power, no counter. On play, add up to 1 character with a cost of 8 or less to the top or bottom of the owner's life cards face up. So like I said, either offensively or defensively, you have options with this. And lastly, we have Charlotte Lin. That's gonna be kind of a win condition, I guess, as long with the Katakuri. 10 cost, 12,000, no counter, but on play, if your leader has the Big Mom pirate type, add up to 1 card from the top of your deck to the top of your life card. then trash one card from the top of your opponent's life card. So you basically get a life for free and trash one from your opponent. But there you go, guys. This is the deck that I'm gonna try for Katakuri right now, and that I'm going to tweak over the course of the OPO3 meta. Now, this was, you can see like this video was already long enough, but this is still like the easiest one to make right now because yellow don't have that many cards, so there's not really much to choose from. So if you decide to follow this series of video, just be aware that some of the next video that I'm gonna make are gonna maybe be a tiny bit longer because we have to like theory craft a deck from start to finish. I think this is gonna be a solid base for me to try and theory craft how I'm gonna evolve this deck over the course of the meta, and we're gonna look back at this over the course of the next months also and see what changes will I make to this and how this will evolve. But anyway, guys, here is the results of this first episode of Express Your Meta. This is the deck that I came up with. This is my player expression build in a deck, and I'm gonna fiddle around with the deck and adjust it as I go, see what works and what doesn't. Leave me a comments down below. What would you have do otherwise with this deck? Do you think it's any good? Do you think that I should already modify it? I only plan to like play this and see what works and what doesn't and change as I go. So obviously this is far from the ideal situation, but still this is already good to talk about the meta because it gets us to grow as players. And if you're still here, this means the video was at the very least entertaining to you. So please leave a like, it helps very much. And remember to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to never miss anything geek. Bye guys.